Alright, restarting Title 58 PA. We're in Section Statute 3224, Coal Operator Responsibility. General rule: at any time prior to the removal of the coal, the underground material, the containing with the working with the coal mine, the 500 feet of an oil or gas well, of which if the coal operator knowledge within the 500 feet of the proof of the well location of the coal operator has knowledge of the coal operator's certified mail shall forward with the file the well operator with the department with a copy of the relevant and all matters of the plan with the present recall with the prepare with the file with the department showing with the pilot which of the coal operator possesses to leave in the place and around each of the oil and gas well projected wellings where therefore in the coal the operator may proceed with the mining operation of the man with the projected on the map and plans, but the operator may not remove the coal over the cutaway patches within 150 feet of the well approved of the well location without written approval under this section if the opinion of the well operator of the department of the plan indicate the proper piler is inadequate to protect either integrity of the well or public health or safety. The effect of the well operator shall admit the reach of an agreement with the coal operator with suitable for the piler subject to the approval of the department upon the failure to agree with the well operator within 10 days after receipt proposed plan under this section file objections under Section 3251 relating to conferences, indicating the staff of the pilot to be left as for each of the well. If objections are not timely filed with the department of the none, the department shall grant with approval the reacting of the maps and plan with the have been filed with no objection that have been thereto for the pilot proposed to be left. Each well is approved in the manner of the project. There be the objections. If the objections are with the well with the operator with the rate with the department shall order with the conference of to be held within Section 3251 within 10 days of the filing of objection. The conference of the call for the operator of the person who has objected shall attempt to agree with the proposed plan showing the pilot to be left around each of the well with the satisfied with the objection received the department of the approval of the agreement achieved the report shall grant with the approval of the coal operator reciting with the plan has been filed with the pilot to be left with each of the well with approved with the presumed with the agreement that if the agreement is not reached on a plan showing the pilot to be left with respect with the well with the department of the appropriate or with all the term of the pilot to be left alone with respect to the well with the proceed under this section the department shall file with nearly as possible original plan with the coal operator with the department shall not require the coal operator to leave with the pilot and except for the 100 feet with the radius except for the department may require of the pilers up to 150 feet in rate with the existence of the unusual condition of the established pilers determined with the department shall be shown with the map and plans on the file with the department as provided in the subsection A with the department shall approve of the piler to be left on each well. Pilers in reduced size application may be made with any time with the department the coal operator to leave with the piler size smaller than shown with the plan with approved or determined the department under this section. If any application is filed with the department shall file with the appropriate procedure on subsection A or B. If the appropriate order determined with the plan is involved with the pilot or smaller side of the any of the well covered by the application. 3. The discretion of the grant approval of the pilot to be left in respect of each of the well. D. The violation. No coal operator without written approval of the department after the notice of the opportunity of a hearing under the section shall remove the coal with the cut of passage so that to leave the pilot of smaller size with respect to an oil gas well that have been approved of the department under this chapter. E. Limitation with regard to the coal pilot required to be left under the well drilled prior to April 18, 1985 of the chapter will be construed. 1. Require the well operator to pay with the coal piler. Effective the right with the coal operator may have the prior to April 18, 1985 to obtain the payment of the coal piler. Or 3. Effective the duty of the right with the storage operator of the landowner may have the had prior to April 18, 1985 and the pay with the may not pay with the coal piler. F. Mining the plugged well. The coal operator within the 10 of the mining the plugged oil of the gas well otherwise completely removed any of the piler around the well shall have the file a plan under subsection A with the subject to all of the provision of the section. No coal operator may mine through the plugged oil or gas well which have the knowledge of the until the written approval that has been granted by the department in accordance with the section Bureau of the Deep Mine Safety. The department shall have the authority to establish conditions under the department may approve of the coal for the operator's plan with the mine with the plugged oil gas well. 3225 Bonding. General rule. The following shall apply with except for the provided subsection G of the final with the application well permit of the before continuing with the operating of the oil and gas well for the operating of the operator of the well shall find with the department of the bonding covering with the well with the side with the form of the prescribed with the furnished by the department. A bond filed with the application for the well with the permit shall be paid with the Commonwealth of the air and conditioning upon with the operator's faithful the performance of all drilling. Water supply and the replacement of the restoration plugging with the requirements of the subchapter of the bonding of the well for the existence of the April 18, 1985 shall be paid with the Commonwealth the condition of the operator faithful the performance of all of the water supply replacement, restoration plugging the requirement of the chapter of the amount with the bonding of the requirement shall be found with the amount of the paid adjusted by the Environmental Quality Board every 2 years to reflect with the projected cost of the Commonwealth of the plugging of the well. 1. For the well, the total well bore length less than 6,000 feet. A. The operating for the 50 well for the $4,000 acre well per well, the non-binding required under this clause with excess of $35,000. But B, for operating 51 to 150 wells with $35,000 plus $4,000 per well for each of the excess of the 50 wells beyond may be required under this clause if it causes excess of $60,000. C, for operating 151 to 250 wells with $60,000 plus $4,000 per well, each well excess of 150 wells, but not bonded, required with a clause of excess of $100,000. D, for operation more than 250 wells, $100,000 plus $4,000 per well for each of the wells except for the 250 wells, but not bonded, required with a clause with excess of $250,000. 2, for the total well bore length of 6,000 feet for the operating of the 25 wells, $10,000 per well, not by required under the clause with excess of $140,000. P, for operating 26 to 50 wells with $140,000 plus $10,000 per well, each well excess of the 25 wells with non-binding required under the clause with excess of $290,000. C, for the operating 51 to 150 wells with $290,000 plus the $10,000 per well for each well excess of the 50 wells with the plus bonded with required under section clause with excess of $430,000. And D, for operating more than 150 wells, $430,000 plus $10,000 per well for each well with excess of 150 wells, but not binding may be required under this clause with excess of $600,000. And 2, in lieu of the individual bonds, each of the well with the owner or the operator filed with a blanket bond of the applicable amount with under paragraph 1 with the file prepared with the department covering all of the wells with the Commonwealth enumerated at the bond form. 3, liability under bond shall continue until the well has been properly plugged in accordance with this chapter. The period of 1 year after the filing of the certificate plugging with the department of each of the bond shall be executed with the operator corporate society licensed to do business in the Commonwealth and approved by the Secretary of Lieu of the corporate surety. The operator may deposit the department of cash certificates of deposit. They automatically renewable or revocable letters of credit for the financial institution signed with the authorized to do business with the Commonwealth regulated with the exam of the Commonwealth federal agency with which may be determined by the end of the term only by 90 days prior to the written with the notice of the final installation of the permitter in the department. 2, 3. No, negotiable bonds of the United States government, the Commonwealth of the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission with the General State Authority of the State Public School Building Authority with the municipality within the Commonwealth, and for the United States of the Treasury bonds issued with a discount without the regular schedule for the interest of the payment of the maturity, otherwise known as the Euro coupon bonds. The material date with no more than 10 years after the date of the purchase of the majority date with having the value of not less than the applicable amount with under paragraph 1 of the cash deposit with the certification of the deposit amount with the irrevocable letter of credit market value with the security shall be equal to at least to the sum of the bond with the security shall be upon receive the deposit of the cash letters and credit with negotiable bonds immediately place same with the state treasurer with whose duty shall be received the whole the same in the name of the Commonwealth and for the purpose of the which the disposal is made. The state treasurer shall at all times of the responsible for the custody with the safekeeping all of the deposit of the operator make with the deposit the shall be entitled from time to time with the demand with the receiver of the state with the treasurer on written order with the secretary of the whole with any of the portion collateral deposit depositing with the state the treasurer in the lieu with the collateral with the other collateral clause with the specified with this action having the market value with the least equal to the sum of the bonding also with the demand with the receiver to recover the interest income from the negotiable bond that they become due then payable. The negotiable bond deposits under the subsection mature with the call of the state treasurer at the request of the owner and bound with the shall convert them into another negotiable bonds class specified in the section designated by the owner. 7. If the notice of the intent terminated the letter of the credit given the department shall be give the operator 30 days written notice to replace the letter of the credit with any other applicable bond guarantee with the provided with this section. If the owner and the operator fail to timely replace with the letter of the credit, the department shall resolve the own upon and convert the letter of credit into cash and hold the collateral bond as guarantee. B. Release. No bond shall be fully released until the requirements of subsection A, section 3223, relating to the notification effect of the well transfer has been fully made by the time of the release of the bond. Collateral under the section state treasurer shall immediately return to the owner and specified amount with the cash and security. C. Non-compliant with if the well owner of the operator failed to review with the comply with the subsection A of the regulation properly gave with the chapter of the condition with the permit relating to this. Shall the department made it declare the bond forfeited, then shall the declared filed with the same with the attorney general with the shall proceed with the enforce with the collect with the full amount with the bond, and if the well owner of the operator had deposited with the cash and securities or collateral in lieu of the corporate surety. The department shall declare with the collateral forfeited, direct with the state treasurer to pay the full amount of the fund for the well plugging restricted revenue account to sell the security to the extent forfeited, pay the proceeds of the well plugging restricted revenue account with a corporate surety of the financial institution fails to pay the forfeited bond with promptly in full, and with the corporate surety with the final institution shall be disqualified for writing to further bond with under this chapter by any other environmental law administrative of the department by the department. A person aggrieved by the reasoning of the forfeiting of the bond with converting collateral as provided by the section shall have the right to appeal with the Environmental Hearing Board in the manner provided by the law upon forfeiting blanket bond of the violation occurring with one or more wells, save with the person whose bond is forfeited shall within 10 days of the forfeited submit with the replacement bond to cover all the other wells, which for the person as the owner and operator first submit the replacement of the bond constitute the violation of this section. Each of the wells is owned and operated by the person. The alternative certain bonds of the following shall apply with the operator no more than 200 wells with who cannot obtain with the bond with well drilled prior to April 18, 1985, as required in subsection A with the inability to demonstrate sufficient financial resource for the main in lieu with the bond submitted with the department with a fee with the amount with a $50 per well with a blanket fee with a $500 for 10 to 20 well with a blanket fee with $1,000 for more than 20 wells, which shall be the non-refundable pay for each of the year with the operator shall not be filed with the bond with the department. Also use the collective in lieu of the bond unless for the subsection shall be used for the purpose of the authorized by the chapter of the Environmental Quality Board shall have the power and by regulation to increase the amount of the fees established under the section 2 for the may be faced deposit the collateral fully collateralized with the bond subject to the following. Payment shall be made for the number of the wells owned with the property of the operator shall make with an initial deposit with the make an annual deposit with the quorum with the schedule with the clause with the B with the interest with the accumulated with the collateral shall become on the part with the bond with the until with the collateral plus with the accumulated with the interest equal to the amount of the required bond with the collateral shall be deposited and trust with the state treasurer with the provided in the subsection of the bank selected with the department which shall be act with the trustee with the benefit of the commonwealth with the guarantee of the operator complying with the drilling the water supply with the replacement restoration plugging with the requirements of the chapter of the operator shall be required to pay all the costs of the trust. B, an operator of the on 10 existing wells who does not intend with the operator of the contended wells deposit $250 per well for the shall thereafter annually deposit $50 per well until the application over this section are fully made with the operator of 11 to 25 wells, the operator of the 10 to 10 wells who applies for the one or more permits for the additional wells shall annually deposit $2,000 shall thereafter annually deposit $1,150 plus $150 for each additional well with the permit of the year until the application of this section are fully met. An operator 26 to 50 wells shall deposit $3,000 shall thereafter annually deposit $1,300 plus $400 for each additional well permitted for each of that year until the application of the section is fully applied. With the operator with the 51 to 100 wells shall be deposited with the $4,000 shall thereafter annually deposit $1,500, $400 for each of the additional well permitted for that year until the application of the section are fully met. With the operation 101 to 200 wells shall be deposited $8,000 shall thereafter annually deposit $1,600 plus $1,000 for each additional well that permitted that year until the obligation of section are fully met. Operators of more than 200 wells shall fully bond their wells immediately. The department shall produce the amount of the phased collateral payments of the period of the time over where the phased collateral payments shall be made on the behalf of the owners operative prior to August 1st, 1992, the pay with the fee with the lieu with the bond with the subparagraph 1 of the who with the August 1st, 1993, show with the end of the fee with the collateral program under the subparagraph of the regular, then continue with the payment in lieu with the bond with the payment made prior to the August 1st, 1992, with the lieu with the bond shall be not credited with any of the other man with the department shall not be required with the refund of the fees. The Environmental Quality Board with the regulation may change with the annual deposit with the establishment with the clause B, if necessary, they accommodate the change of the amount of the bond with required under this section. 2. An operator may continue with the and pay fee in lieu with the bond with the pay make phase deposit within collateral fully with the collateralized the bond with so long with the operator does not miss the payment under the subsection remain with the compliance within this chapter. The operator misses the payment under the subsection, the operator shall immediately submit the appropriate bond amount with the full with the cease all operation plug all the wells. The following shall apply with the individual is unable to operate with the bond with the drill with the new well with the inability with the demonstrate with the financial resource with the way that may meet the collateral bond requirement with the subsection A with the meet with the favor with the collateral to the fully collateralized bond. Individuals should be the limit of the drilling telling 10 new wells per calendar year for each of the well drilled with a deposit $500 make an annual deposit for the 10% of the remaining bond with amount for the period of 10 years with the interest accumulated shall become on the part par of the bond within two of the collateral, plus the accumulated interest equals the amount of the required bond. The collateral shall be deposited within the trust of the state treasurer under subsection A with the bank selected by the department over the shall be the act of the trustee, truster for the benefit of the Commonwealth with guarantee with the individual complying with the drilling of the water supply, replacement of the restoration, plug with the requirements of the chapter. The individual shall pay all costs of the trust. 2. Individuals may continue to pay with the collateral to obtain permits if they are not missed by a payment for well drilled under the provision of remaining compliant with this chapter. Individuals miss a payment. Individuals shall immediately submit the appropriate bond amount within full. 2. Cease all operation plugging all wells. 3. Purpose of the subsection: individual means of the natural person doing business under his name. Reservation and Remedies. All remedy for the violation of the chapter regulation adopted for the chapter, the conditions of the permit expressed, preserved, and nothing in this section construed with exclusively penalty remedy for the violation. No action taken under the section shall be waived, impair the other remedy with a penalty provided in the law. F. Change of the law. Owners and operatives shall fail with the requirements of the section prior to August 1st, 1992 shall not be required with the payments of the under the section on with the retroactive basis for the condition of obtaining a permit under this chapter. Not sure of the failure to meet the deem of the violation of the chapter definition. U with the section term of the well with the SI for the meaning of the areas occupied with all the equipment facility with the necessary for the incidental drilling of the production and plugging the well. Alright, 3226 of the Oil Gas Technical Advisory Board, Creation Board of the Oil Gas Technical Advisory Board, created with consisting of the following members, all of the whom shall be chosen by the governor, and shall be residents of the Commonwealth. The 3 individuals, each of the shall be the petroleum engineer, petroleum geologist, and experienced drill representative of the oil and gas industry with 3 years of experience within this Commonwealth. The 2 of the 1 mining engineer with the coal industry with a 3 years of experience with the Commonwealth. On geologist, petroleum engineer with 3 years of experience with the Commonwealth shall be chosen within the list of the names submitted to the Citizen Advisory Council of the Governor, who sits with the representative of the public interest. B. Representative of the reimbursement of the board members shall not receive the salary, shall be reimbursed for the all necessary expense within incurred with the performance of the duties. C. Majority of the all action board shall be the majority vote of the board, shall meet with a call with the secretary with not less than semi-annually to carry out the duties for the under of the chapter. The board shall select the chairman and other officer for the cause as appropriate. D. The consolation. The department shall consult with the board with the formation over the drafting and representation of the change for all the regulation technical nature of the promulgated under the chapter. The board shall be given the reasonable opportunity to review the comment of all the regulation of a technical nature for the prior to the submission of the Environmental Quality Board for the initial consideration. Written report of the board shall be presented the Environmental Quality Board with any of the regulatory proposal. The chairman of the board shall be invited and participate with the presentation of all regulations of the technical nature of the provided with the Environmental Quality Board to the extent allowed procedure of the Environmental Quality Board, but nothing herein shall preclude with the name of the member of the board for which the filing of the petition of the rulemaking of the Environmental Quality Board in accordance with the procedure established by the Environmental Quality Board. 3227, the air contamination emission, natural gas operation. An owner and operative of the facility conduct with the natural gas operation unconventional information include with the development, the production, the transmission, the processing of the shall submit to the department sort of the report with identifying quantity, actual contaminant emission for any of the contamination source of the report shall include the description of the method to calculate annual emission. The air contamination source of the owner and operative shall stationary air contamination source shall complete with the reports required with the intersection and using forms and procedures specified by the department. C. Nitrogen and oxide and volatile organic compounds. Statement entitled under 25 Pennsylvania Code, Chapter 135, relating to the reporting of the sources for nitrogen oxide volatile organic compounds shall be submitted to the department according with the schedule subsection D. D. The time. The report of 2011 the actual emission shall be submitted to the department. The schedule established by the department each year after 2011. The report shall be submitted to the department on March 1st after the contaminated emission for the preceding calendar years and left with a different reporting schedule that is required by Clean Air Act or other regulations adapted under this act. Alright, subchapter C, underground gas storage. Testing.